Many people are wondering why the police reacted the way they did to George Floyd, and I want to put this out there immediately. I do believe the police should have used discretion and perhaps even let him go instead of doing what they did. However, what people need to know is George Floyd was a criminal with a very extensive criminal background. Candace Owens did a wonderful video on Facebook and on YouTube. I'm going to leave a link to it, where she explains why she does not support George Floyd. And I got curious, so I looked into it. Well, what did he really do? The crimes that the man committed were very many and included things like armed robbery, putting a loaded weapon to a pregnant woman's stomach, a black woman's stomach, and, just really not nice crimes. And people will go, well, why did the police do this to him? What people don't understand, and Candace Owens covered this, I covered it in a previous video too, the mathematics of black crime are astronomical compared to white crime. That's why police interact with blacks more frequently than they do whites or Hispanics or Asians or any other group of people in the United States. So this is why. And I also want to explain this. Police have a responsibility and a right to protect themselves when they're arresting somebody. I talked about this in a video when I was explaining much earlier, before the riots, explaining about if anybody arrested somebody, they'd understand. Now, you have to remember, the police have the same rights as you and me. They have the right to protect themselves in most states, like us, with lethal force. If their life is threatened, or if grievous or severe bodily harm will come to them, they do actually have the right to defend themselves with deadly force if necessary. Now, a lot of people don't understand, George Floyd was a very large man. George Floyd was on methamphetamine and fentanyl, but methamphetamine is a drug that is known to give people a resistance to pain compliance, a resistance. And what is pain compliance? Okay, anybody in the martial arts that understands pain compliance. Pain compliance is things like putting pressure on people. This is why the dude might have had his knee on the back of his neck, and Floyd might have still been resisting arrest. Pain compliance is when you add pain with a pressure point or a joint lock or a leveraging technique or something like that that puts pain on the person, they will follow. If the person is on drugs, they can resist that, especially things like methamphetamine and PCP. This is why, now police usually won't do this, but in self-defense, when we teach self-defense, this is why we teach people to break knees, to break elbows, to break necks, to break eye sockets, to rip somebody's eyes out. And I'm not glorifying violence. Don't get that. I'm not glorifying violence. But the reason why is because whether it hurts or not, if somebody's leg is broken, it don't frickin' work. But the police can't do that. The police can't go around breaking people's legs and arms and smashing their heads in. And people think that's what they do, but it's not necessarily what they do. Okay, and I also want to leave in the link the companies that support BLM and Antifa. And that want white Americans dead, okay? And I want people to follow that link to see all of these companies. Some of them we're stuck with, like Amazon, because as long as the COVID-19 and the crazy riots are going on, we're kind of stuck doing that. I mean, the more they loot, the less likely we are to be able to get things at stores. The other thing is, people do not understand this. Now, just because I said that the police did that does not mean that I agree with what the police did. Yes, police have a right to defend themselves up until the point that they can use lethal force. However, police also have something called discretion. In my opinion, if I were a cop and I was confronted by this dude like this, probably what would happen is I would probably use my discretion and just let him go. But in the same sense, the dude's high on fentanyl. The dude's high on methamphetamine. Is that somebody you want driving around on the road? Because remember, they grabbed him out of a vehicle. Okay? So if he's high on meth and high on fentanyl, do you really want this dude driving around public roadways, possibly killing somebody by crashing into them? Now, there's a lot to this story that people are just ignoring. I think Michelle Malkin has done great coverage of this. I think a lot of people have. But people need to understand there's more to the story than I can't breathe. There's more to it, and people need to understand that. And that's all for this video.